this rather snappy, won't you? I have some very heavy thinking to do before 10 o'clock.
Well, welcome to another episode of Get It Right Texoma with the Texoma Trio. Here I'm Mike Hendren. This is Terry McAdams. That's Trace Serralla over there on the other end. Hope everybody is doing well. Welcome back to, well, thank you for joining us again. I mean, I don't know which episode you're catching here. Maybe this is your first, maybe this is your fifth or sixth, but I don't know. We're doing this as often as we can, and I think we do a very good job with it personally. But anyway.
Well, having a lot of fun.
Yeah, we are having a good time with it anyway.
We're entertaining ourselves.
Yeah, we are. If nothing else.
If nothing else, we're trying to drop it 3 days a week.
Yeah, we are.
That's
trying to drop three a week, and we're here to talk about things that are happening around North Texas and Southern Oklahoma, and also stuff that's happening around the state and around the nation as well, and
even occasionally internationally.
Even occasionally, yes, we get sneak in something international. You know, not even necessarily European only.
Yeah.
Well,
so anyway,
we never did talk about Putin's interview with Tucker Carlson.
Yeah.
Tucker.
So
Tucker.
he got a lot of criticism for that. But
he
anyway,
did. It was okay. So let's talk.
I didn't bring that up, but I mean,
It's on the list here. So
it is.
Yeah. Right
okay.
here.
Oh, sorry.
Mark it off. No, that's fine. No. I think
okay.
It's on the
Let's
list.
get after
it's on the list to do.
All right.
Well, it's been a few days since that happened, so I guess let's kind of launch into that. So Tucker Carlson does this interview with Vladimir Putin, and I watched it after the fact.
You weren't there. You didn't go to the Kremlin and watch it.
No.
Watch it live.
No, I didn't get my tickets in time.
Yeah.
What did you guys think about it? I mean, was Tucker almost like too ingratiating with Putin?
I watched about half of it. I think I was watching it idly, but he did. I don't know about not giddy, but
it was interesting. It was a very interesting history lesson.
Yeah,
I'll say that.
Yeah.
Putin did bring up a few points. You know, whether you agree or disagree with him. You see his point of view on a few things, which I think is fair. Everybody has a point of view. But yeah, I do think Tucker was during the interview. He really sat there mostly and listened, which is fine. And then to do the thing at the end with the we want you to let us take Ivan Bogdanovich home and stuff like that. It's like that was a little self-serving. I mean He knew that was a BS deal and threw it in. I will tell you, post-interview, Tucker went to a couple of stores. Did y'all see the other stuff where he went to a grocery store and then he also went to a train station? Did y'all see that sort of stuff?
No, but I
missed that.
I've been to a grocery store in Russia. I went on a mission trip in 2006, and I've been to the train station, but not the train station from what's the Yellowstone?
No. Well, I don't know that, but what I'm saying is, Tucker went to a train station, and the train station was very clean and organized and all that. But you also need to understand it's a lot easier to do that when you're a dictator.
Yeah.
But when people don't have freedoms, and you can take somebody's freedom away like this, it's a lot more. It's a lot easier to compel people not to do things. The other thing that was strange. That I found strange on the grocery store deal. Tucker Carlson, of course, I like a lot of what Tucker Carlson does. I don't like his delivery a lot. His little that sounds stupid, but the way he gets his voice like that. But he was talking about how a family of four could. And we did it was only $107 or whatever like that. Bought food for a family of four for a week or whatever. Well, two things. Number one, your exchange rate. Is way better. But number two, when the average person in Russia is making $10,000 a year, obviously things are cheaper. You can go to a lot of countries. England, I'm more familiar with England. Food is cheaper in England. Okay? But the wages are also a lot lower. So what you can buy for your money, it doesn't really matter how cheap or how expensive. Food's a lot more expensive in Monte Carlo.
Right.
But if you live in Monte Carlo, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
So
all relative.
It's all relative. So I don't really like those comparisons because it almost seemed Tucker did, in my opinion, seem like he was almost a little bit demeaning of the United States, and I didn't care for that.
Yeah. Well, what about the overall concept of the idea that he even went? Because that was what he was initially criticized for. He's saying, "Hey, I'm going to do this," and you shouldn't go and interview. Well, I agree with him in his because he was talking about this. Look, I do this.
Think that Tucker Carlson is look. He got let's call it what it is. He got the rug yanked out from under him with the loss of that show on Fox.
Absolutely, yeah.
That was a massive audience to have pulled away from him. And so he is still, in some respects, in a rebuilding mode. Yeah. And so maybe he feels the need to do something shocking, controversial. And for him, where, for some, what would be considered shocking or controversial for one particular media personality is not the same for the other.
Right.
Tucker Carlson has this reputation, especially early on, of being kind of a little bit buttoned up and very, Fox proper. Is that the right way to put it?
And his personal life was not when you listen to his story.
And it's just not, So I think in a lot of ways, maybe this was designed to create a little shock value in a matter of helping to promote Tucker a little more and build audience. I don't know.
But from a...
sometimes controversy will do that.
But if they're avoiding, a lot of the news media are avoiding trying to talk to him, is that really good for us?
No, I don't have a problem with him talking to him.
No,
I think it's a good... I mean, I've got no problem with a journalist going and talking to anybody.
Yeah.
And let it speak for itself, but you have to understand there's a lot of things get cooked when you do editing.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
So just understand that just because you saw something come out of somebody's mouth,
well, that's true.
It doesn't always mean that it was taken in context.
What ended up on the cutting room floor? That's the thing.
Right.
And
so just understand that. I mean, the fact of the matter is, we could sit here and have this conversation, and it would be pretty easy to edit and change the whole narrative to where we said, all of us said that Tucker Carlson's a great person, and he. And what he did was great, and Vladimir Putin is right, and all that other crap. I mean, you have to be careful. Just understand when you see something and hear something, it doesn't necessarily mean, unless you witnessed it, eyewitness, that it was exactly that way.
Okay, so we used to have certain journalists that we kind of held in rather high esteem, whether we agreed with them politically or not.
Right.
We oftentimes, I don't know if Dan Rather qualifies. I mean, it seemed like he did at the time, but there's a lot of journalists in history that we look back on and say, for the most part, they're probably legit, and they wouldn't put up with anything. And so would they, like in this case, would Tucker Carlson have bowed out or not bowed out, but what would be the right word, gave in on agreeing to certain editing by the Kremlin before it went?
I don't know.
So did he? I don't know if he addressed that or not.
Yeah.
Whether kind of on your top, what you don't know. Did they have influence over what he ended up being videoed or actually published? Did he had to do it? Cut off everything that they didn't want before he left the country.
I think another thing too is I think we still view Russia as the Soviet Union. I think a lot of people still view it as a communist nation.
Yeah, well,
I think at its core it still is, in terms of how the leadership is, how they do things.
Yeah, when you have a president, but you must vote for that guy.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah. So even though we don't call it the Soviet Union anymore, even though we don't directly use the word communism in the conversation with them, I think they're still very communist at their core, at how the government operates and how they govern the people, how they elect their president.
Well,
I mean, come on, communism didn't die; it just changed its clothes.
Well, last week didn't Putin's fiercest public critic die suddenly?
Yes, he did.
Mysteriously.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, and he was in jail.
Yes.
First off, he was in jail.
Yeah.
For some charge.
Yep.
And then he died mysteriously at 47 years old or 48 years, relatively young.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, which does happen. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it never happens, but it was suspicious circumstances.
Oh, totally. Totally suspicious. And, of course, the guy's family is going, yeah, they murdered him. They murdered him. They probably did. So, I mean, can you think of a fate worse than ending up in a Russian gulag somewhere?
Ooh,
you know,
that's scary.
So you know, Vladimir Putin is an independent party.
I'm sure he is.
Got 77.53% of the vote.
Wow.
The communist candidate Pavel Grudnin got 11.9, and Vladimir Zhirinovsky is the part of the LDPR, whatever that is, party, and 5.71. So yeah, he had 77.
Well, of course he did. I mean, of course he did.
So what? Yeah, what if you didn't vote? What?
Well, I was watching this video. It was when Kim Jong-il's father, Kim Jong-un, died 12, 14 years ago. Mm-hmm. And they're having the state funeral procession.
Right.
And these people on the side of the road wailing and screaming and holding on to each other and just so distraught. And I thought, you talk about part of it's orchestrated.
Yep.
Part of it's government actors who are put in the crowd to stimulate everybody else to behave, and then everybody else is pure fear.
I was going to say, yeah.
If we don't act right, if we don't show, if we're not very expressive in our grief, they'll pull us out of the crowd and put us in prison.
Yeah.
Well,
that's what happens in North Korea, guys, and it's no, and North Korea is really very much a reflection of Russia 60, 70 years ago. Very much. Very much so. So communist. Well, look at the places in the world where communism still lives: China, Vietnam, Venezuela, Cuba. Who am I leaving out here? It's still very much alive and well in parts of the world.
Yeah,
and it rules people through fear and intimidation.
That's right.
So bottom line is, we all agree that he should. Somebody needs to be interviewing and talking to these people, because if you don't, you never know for sure. You need to at least understand their perspective. You don't agree with it. You don't have to agree with it, but we also have to keep in mind what was there an agenda by Tucker Carlson. So
well, let's mention a few things. Why don't we that are happening around here locally? We got the Huskies block party, Hershey Huskies block party coming up May 25th at Castaway Cove. If you go check out the Huskies for Life reunion page on Facebook, they got all the details there on it. But this is, as we have said before, the final year for the 3 high schools that have existed here since 1743, and so we're it feels like it. Hershey High School is going to become Hershey Junior High. Oh. And so the Huskies will live on, just not as a high school.
Yeah.
So
be new traditions, legacy and memorial.
Yeah. So that's coming, but that's coming up again, Castaway Cove on May 25th, which ain't really that far away, y'all. The campfire candy sales are going on.
They end March 1st.
About 12 days? 10 days
from now,
from
and
now.
I don't know when this will drop.
March 1st, right around the corner here. So campfire candy. Oh, man, I'll tell you what. Campfire candy. It's like, that's my kryptonite, man. It's like, I can't, I get near that stuff and I get weak in the knees. And it's good stuff.
You can go by the office on Kemp Street.
Yep.
On the corner of Fillmore and Kemp, or Fillmore and 9th, not Kemp. Fillmore and 9th, or you can go on their website and they can deliver it to you or figure out something with you. Now,
are they still selling out in the public the way they were before, or are they?
Yes.
Is the support still there?
Sorry.
So, just FYI on the Huskies thing, real quick. Huskies for Life reunion page is apparently a private group, so looks like you have to join that. So
But you probably aren't going to want to join it unless you're
right.
And I'm sure they'll let you in.
Right. Yeah. I wasn't a Husky, so But all right.
I don't think they're going to check your credentials.
They might.
Sorry.
Check the yearbook.
Okay.
But yeah, campfire candy. Get some. If you haven't got yours already this year.
We edit my blowing the nose out.
Oh yeah, we're gonna. That's why I'm just trying to pick up again.
Yeah.
With it.
Sorry.
So yeah, campfire candy sales in March 1st. Get some. Get some. Early voting is underway now. You can contact your local county election office, or you can go to your local county website and get information. I know Wichita County's website, they've done a pretty good job of organizing all the information on the county website here. Every county does it a little differently.
Wichita, Clay, and Archer County, all of their websites are really good with candidate bios and organization stuff.
Right.
So kudos to all three of the counties, the local counties here for that.
Yeah. So check out the candidate bios. Get informed on who you have to choose from.
Exactly.
Get informed on your candidates. Do your own homework. Learn all that you can. And you know what? If you've got time and you've got the inclination, pick up the phone and call. If you can get a hold of a candidate directly, or get a hold of their office, if it's an incumbent, call their offices. Talk to them. Ask questions. Don't just make assumptions. Just dive in and start asking questions. I mean, that's part of our problem with elections and candidates getting reelected. The reason we seem to have incumbents that just stay in forever and ever. Now, of course, we have term limits in some offices now, but Congress is a great example. 8, 9, 10% approval rate, 96, 97% reelection rate.
Makes no sense.
Because nobody questions a damn thing.
Yep.
Ask questions and just don't vote for somebody just because you recognize a name. Know who they are.
Absolutely.
Know the person. The Chamber of Commerce, they're defining our culture event going on. This is going on in April, right?
Yeah, and I talked about this a couple of pods ago. If you want to know more information or be involved in this, contact the Chamber. And what's happening is they're bringing a group of people in, and I don't know how many they're going to have, but it's going to be a pretty large working group of people. And they're also going to bring, I believe, a sociology professor or something like that in to help facilitate it. And it's going to be defining the culture of Wichita Falls. So,
yeah, if
you're interested in that, check it out.
That's one of the things about this city is some people do have a hard time defining exactly what is Wichita Falls all about. What do we, you look at some larger cities, you can kind of point to some things, but here, people seem to be almost confused about it sometimes. Like, what exactly are we about here? The oil and gas industry is not the center of the world here anymore. Nope. It hasn't been in decades.
Yeah.
There was a time when it was. There was a time when we had like a dozen oil rig manufacturing companies that surrounded the city.
At one time, there were more millionaires per capita in Wichita Falls than any other place in the country.
Yeah, definitely.
And it was oil money.
A lot of it was, it was oil
most
money.
of it was oil money, or started out oil money, went into property and things like that.
And it's not to say that there's not still oil money in the community. There is, but it's much less of a factor today than it was, say, 60 years ago.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize if you want to see some magnificent houses, you could drive in the old country club part of Wichita Falls.
Yeah.
And there are houses in Wichita Falls that will rival the houses in the mansions off Turtle Creek in Dallas. It's just not as big. But the country club in Wichita Falls
huge.
Is unbelievable, the houses and things like that.
Beautiful
oil and gas building downtown, the Hamilton building downtown, all of those buildings were basically because Wichita Falls was a major hub for petroleum at one time.
It was. And, I think there's so much untapped opportunity here, and getting involved with a chamber group like this, like Defining Our Culture, or getting involved with the chamber at all on any of their events, and communicating and interacting with all these folks. That's an important way for us to start to develop these new sources of revenue, these new revenue streams, these new opportunities for the city. There's a lot of opportunity there that just is untapped. One of the things I've harped about it a lot, I guess, but the relationship between the city and Midwestern State University, that has never realized its full potential here.
Nowhere close.
You know, it just never has.
Go to Tarleton State, or my kids all went to Texas A&M. Go to College Station. The city revolves around Texas A&M. And I'm not saying that it should here, and I know that we have the base, and a lot of things revolve around that. But it's the difference is just you can't go to a grocery store in Texas A&M or in College Station and not see Aggie shirts, Aggie hats,
everywhere.
License plates on half the cars and stuff like that. It's just it's a part of the culture, whereas Midwestern State has never been as much part of the culture as Wichita Falls as I would have thought it could.
As I've said before, someone who's not from here can drive through this town and just passing through would not know that MSU exists here.
That's true.
They would not know it.
And MSU's not a tiny little school, by the way. And people send their kids here. That's the thing. We have kids from all over the world that come here, and there are a lot of people whose kids come here. I can remember when you and I went to school there. There was times that the only people you thought you were going to see there were just people that were from Wichita Falls. No, there's people from all over the state and part of the this region. Not not usually all over the country, but this region. And you go, how did you end up here? And they're like, because we wanted to come here. Because I wanted to come here. Because my parents wanted me to come here. I'm like, really?
Well, it's a good value too for the money that you spend here.
I don't know. I don't know what.
Yeah, it's still got to be one at best. It probably hadn't changed that much.
Part of that perception was born from the fact that even back then there wasn't a real effort to create a college culture in Wichita Falls.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
And to create a culture, a collegiate culture about the city. And like you said, you go to some of these communities, the branding is everywhere. That's not the case here. And so I think that's
Stephenville, Tarleton State is Stephenville. Texas A&M it's almost cult-like. I get it. I mean, so I get it there, but Stephenville's not. Tarleton State, but you drive around Stephenville, and it's pretty obvious that there's a college there.
Well, right. But then again, the I think we're what we talked about that last time. We're the smallest big city, or no, that was in a meeting I had the other day. We're like the biggest small city. I forget. There's something about Wichita Falls. We're 100,000, just over 100,000, and we have. But yet we're still a pretty small town. I think we act smaller than 100,000.
We're a small city. But we're a smaller city, but really not. Though when you look at the numbers, Wichita Falls is a medium-sized city.
Well, it is, but I'm saying that but we do have a much. In other words, a town of 100,000 doesn't feel like it. It feels like a much smaller town, if you will, just because we do have community here. Yeah. And everybody knows everybody.
Well, I have often said we're a city of 105,000, and it very often operates like a town of 5,000, in many respects.
But by the same token, the other side of that is we're a city of 105,000 that swells up to 150,000 every day.
Right, well, a lot of people.
I mean, there's a lot of people. Wichita Falls is a hub, so there's a lot of people that come to Wichita Falls to work, to shop. And that sort of thing. So it is strange. Like you said, it's a real weird dichotomy because you're a town of 105. We act like we're 5,000, but we're really growing to a bigger town than we are on a daily basis.
Well, I'm as a real estate agent, I'm working with people, all the time that are relocating here from other places, and I've got some folks right now from the Dallas-Fort Worth area that I'm working with. They can't wait to get out of that mess there.
Sure,
the metro mess.
They come here. They have marveled at the fact that you can be literally anywhere in this county in about 25 minutes, 30 minutes. We don't have massive traffic jams. We don't have 6-lane highways that are choked up, bumper to bumper traffic, the way you do. The metro areas. And I know there's still a lot of people flocking to the DFW area, but don't you think? At some point, you get to a point where it's so large and being there is such a drain on an individual on a personal level, physically, mentally, every other way.
Well, even financially, too.
Financially,
it costs a lot to live there, but yeah.
So, don't you think you get to a point where that's going to have to slow down at some point? When I've got a couple in their early 40s that are telling me we can't wait to get out of here. That's telling, because if there's one, there's probably 10,000 who feel the same way. who are or more, who just they've grown tired of it. They don't have to work in that environment anymore. They can work remotely or they can whatever, but they don't have to be in that environment any longer, and they want to get out of it. Yeah. And so it creates opportunities for communities like this one to grow and prosper by gaining some of those folks. And I know people will scoff when they hear, more people coming from California, coming to Texas. Folks, don't knock it.
Well, if they're coming to Wichita Falls, they're probably leaving. They probably didn't have the politics of the typical California.
What a lot of people don't realize, you hear that, and that's kind of one of those things you hear over and over. People say it, and so then people just repeat the same bullshit. The fact of the matter is, there are more registered Republicans in California than any other state in the union.
Well, yeah.
So therefore, there's a lot. What I'm saying is, there's a lot of conservative people in California.
Sure. They're just not in San Francisco and L.A. It's the bigger towns.
They're right. The problem is Sacramento, San Francisco, and Los Angeles are so big, and San Diego to some degree are so large and so concentrated with so many people that everybody else they can overshadow everybody else.
Yeah.
So.
Well, LA's like 18, 20 million people, something like that.
Yeah.
It's a massive region, and that's another reason why we cannot afford to lose the electoral college process in selecting our president.
Oh, no.
If we were to abandon the electoral college and we go to a direct vote method of electing a president, every president from now until God comes will be chosen by the major metro areas of the country.
Houston, New York, Detroit, Los Angeles,
Chicago, Miami,
San Francisco, Miami. Yeah. And Miami's actually more conservative than a lot of places are because they have a lot of Cuban people that are there. But if you think about all these major cities that are not, Portland, Oregon, Anyway.
But most cities and most communities in America are more a reflection of what we have here than what you have in L.A. or New York or Chicago.
Speaking of traffic downtown, now it's not a problem with traffic down there. But the Wichita County Annex building, they'll keep doing some renovations on that.
Yes.
They started some renovations a couple of years ago. There's a lot of things that are going on down there. It's really coming along. And there's like phase 2 or phase 3 on their program right now. So you're going to continue to see cranes and scaffolding and that sort of thing down there. So just be a little patient when you're going through there and make sure that there's not workers. Because sometimes they get down to one lane. The traffic always flows.
Sure.
It's just be sure you don't run over people. But... Look, it's a major upgrade to our downtown in our county. I'm not a huge fan of the fact that we're using taxpayer money, but we're not using our taxpayer money. They're using COVID money, COVID, and it's one of those deals. So my joke is, we can thank Joe from Walla Walla, Washington, for helping us redo our county because his tax money kicked in.
But I will say this is the first major renovation that the county annex building has had, I think, in 50 years or more. The mid-1970s, I think, is the last time it got any serious work done to it. And when you walked into the building, especially if you went down there to get your car tags or pay your property taxes or whatever, the whole thing just screamed, Brady Bunch episode.
It is totally 70s.
Very 70s look. And so to have this, I've seen a little bit of what's going on there. It's going to be very impressive, and I'm with you. I'm not a fan of where the money's coming from and how we're doing that, but the work's being done, and it's going to look really good. Even just on the exterior already.
Oh yeah,
the work they've done outside. We were having dinner downtown the other night, and the lighting on the exterior of the building.
Yeah.
It changed the whole profile of that corner.
Yeah,
the whole profile of that corner.
And then the building on the corner that used to be the shoe repair shop at the very end down, it's gone now.
Yeah.
So it's kind of stranger. But there's a lot of good there. Yeah. Once again, we hate the fact that there's this COVID money, this free quote unquote money that we're using, but at least it's not coming 100% out of our tax money base in Wichita County. And it's not just the upgrade on the outside that looks good. It's a major upgrade on the inside. The flow will be better, and it should be a better customer service experience for people getting their tags and paying their property taxes.
Definitely. All right, well, we'll wrap this episode up, guys. Have a great rest of your day or night or whatever, whenever you happen to be watching this. But thank you for joining us for this episode of Get It Right Texoma with the Texoma Trio of Mike, Terry, and Trey. And we will see you next time. Be sure to like, share, and comment. We want to get your feedback as well.